Alright, so if you found this video, it's because you're trying to figure out how to suck loose insulation out of your attic. What I'm going to show you is how I'm doing it. So before you comment and tell me I'm doing it wrong, don't bother. I don't care. By the time you watch this, I'm already done. Now, if you have suggestions on how to make it easier or better for the next person that comes along and watches the video, great. More power to you. I'd greatly appreciate it. I hope I never have to do this again, but if I do, there's certain things that I will do differently just to make it easier. I am replacing the cellulose, the blown-in cellulose, with fiberglass bats. I know there's a whole discussion as to what's better, loose fill versus bats, fiberglass versus cellulose versus spray foam. I'm not going to get into that. You need to do your own research and figure out what works best for you. For me, this works best in this house, in this application. I'm going from roughly an R10, R15 loose blown-in cellulose insulation to what will eventually become a R60 fiberglass bats. And it's hopefully going to make a huge difference. I've already noticed a small difference in temperature and sound when I go into those rooms that are done. I can feel a difference in there's less sound, less echo. The rooms are also warmer. They feel cozier. And when I did a temperature check, I picked up at least 5 degrees in just the surface temperature of the drywall on the ceiling. So great improvement. However it works for you, do it, figure it out. Insulation, whatever kind you're using, definitely works. Let's start upstairs. We have our standard attic steps here. Now, if your house is like most, like mine, you can have rooms off of the hallway where the attic steps are. I just close the doors because this loose stuff, it gets everywhere. Now, this is not asbestos, so I know it's safe, but that's something you should consider, because some loose insulation, the older stuff, has asbestos in it. So we'll start with what we have here, which is really just a couple of pieces of scrap plywood just to cover the opening, one, so I don't fall through, but mostly so all that loose stuff doesn't go down below. And you just want to make sure your cords aren't covered up too much. Now, I don't have electricity up here, so I've got to run an extension cord from downstairs to run my lights. Alright, quick tour. This is one end of the house, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see. We have this nice platformed area. I've gone ahead, taken the screws out of all the platforms that I can get to, because all this loose insulation goes underneath. And if I block the light, you might be able to see the little glimmer of light down there at the end. And then over here we've got the tricky part, which is a gable end, so I've got to crawl through there. Alright, so what you see here is 2 main gable ends on the left and the right, and then a third gable end at 90 degrees on the upper right hand corner of the image here. The attic goes all the way over top of the garage, which is far to the left, and then the front porch is there in the upper left corner, and then of course the attic steps are there on the right-hand side. Anyway, up here we have a bucket of supplies, walkie-talkie, screwdriver, wasp and hornet spray, some spray foam, some water, a magnet to collect any screws, and because I'm terrified of snakes and I found a snake skin, some self-defense. I've got my work lights. This is the loose stuff. Now when it was originally put up here, it was probably to the top of these rafters, but if you look, it's maybe 3 inches at most, less than that in a lot of places, just because it's settled so much, or blown around because it's open to the wind. So I'm sucking it out, which I started yesterday. What I've got here is a extension wand. Here, maybe, let's do this. Alright, so I've got this extension wand with the end on it, and all I did was I pre-drilled some holes, zip tied a couple of magnets, just in case I suck up any screws or nails. Hopefully it'll attach here instead of going through into my vacuum. That wand and this handle came from Rockler because they have a 4-inch dust vac system that I'm essentially using. These little spring clips here attach the hose all the way to the end. I'm not going to bother going down there to the end, but this hose, this flexible hose, goes into a hard 90, and I'll go into the garage and show you what it looks like when it comes out. But it's a hard 90 degrees, so upstairs it's horizontal and then it goes vertical through the attic floor, garage ceiling. So let's go down there and show you that. Alright, so upstairs the hose attaches into this hard 90 degrees. This 90 degrees sits on top of this, which again is Rockler. They've got this system which essentially lets you port through a wall. Well, I'm not running it through a wall, so I turned it vertical. Now what I did was I took some scrap, I screwed it to the joist, upstairs and downstairs, it looks the same, and then I pre-drilled around the port end pieces and screwed into the scrap, so it is solid as a rock. Now I've got an adapter here and then this is my open and close port, so when I'm done I can close it. When I'm ready to use it, I just open it. Now that was originally in the attic, too hard to get to, so I moved it down here. Another adapter piece, another spring clip, and the hose comes out to the dust vac system. There you go, presto, changeo. Your oh. Alright, so today's disclaimer is I am by no means an expert. This nice little gate from Rockler apparently is not load bearing, and I don't know if you can see that, it's split on me. The glue came undone, probably because it's so cold at 40 degrees. So anyway, note, don't use that in the ceiling. Good news is it'll still work. Bad news is I need a stool. So we're starting off with a shop vac, dust vac for a workshop, actually, like a whole house workshop, a woodworking shop, dust vac setup. And if I remember correctly, we got it from Harbor Freight, so it's by no means very expensive or very high quality, but it works. It's very heavy. I had to put it together myself. Alright, so we have the basic motor over there. This is the intake here, and it has two ports. One I just capped off because we only need one. Hose is hooked up to the other. This is a 50-foot flexible hose. It's clear, which I highly recommend. If it's not clear, you're not going to be able to see any clogs. You're not going to be able to tell if stuff is flowing through. If it's not flexible, you're going to have a hard time moving it. I know some people have used the solid black plastic drains that are at the bottom of gutters. I don't recommend that. This is so much easier to work with. So it comes in here, comes through here, and it does this little cyclone inside. The solids come down into a bag, and the air comes out of this bag, which will inflate like a big hot air balloon. Two things I don't like about this particular setup. One, this bag up here at the top, all it needs is a little spring clip so that when it deflates, this doesn't come off. And two, when you take this band off, see there's a band here, so this band keeps the top on, this band keeps the bottom on. When you take this band off, the band just falls. All it needs is like a little, just a little hook here, even here on these little posts, just to set the band in. So you can take the old bag off that's full, put the new bag on, and the band is right there. My dad's been helping me, and he's stepped on this several times. A couple of times hard enough he's actually had to take a hammer and straighten it out. Because it's just aluminum. So, or it might even be steel, I don't know. But it's fragile enough that it will bend, but strong enough it'll stay intact. It's just a hassle when you drop it, and you get it all over the place. Not a whole lot to see over here on the other side, just a regular outlet. This does have a little key so you can take it out so nobody can accidentally turn it on. Relatively easy to set up. It's on wheels. This top part, it's a little jiggly. These are, you know, maybe not quite as strong as they could be, not quite as sturdy as it could be, but generally speaking, works great. Now let me show you how we set it up here, give you an idea of how it works. Alright, I'm ready to go.
Okay, see you locked the wheels down, that's good, thank you.
Yeah, the gate in the garage ceiling also broke, that little open and close thing. So I just took it off and reconnected everything.
Wow, I'll take a look at it after we start up.
And this is how it works. So you can see it's actually not too noisy or too dusty up here, but always, for the love of your sinuses and lungs, wear a mask of some sort. I'm a runner, so I'm just wearing my buff, and I've worn a balaclava, pretty much everything except the traditional dust mask, and it works okay. The handle that I have here works great. The extension wand here works great. The last time I used it, it was so dry, I actually got a really big shock when I went to take the wand off. But now, when you slide this wand, see that seam over there in the drywall? It's that top seam. Well, need to be really careful, because if you slide it too hard, you're going to hit the seam and bust your drywall, and now you have another home improvement project.
on your hands. And also, when you slide it like this, when you're pushing, just go slow, because every now and then there's imperfections in the paper of the drywall, which this will catch on, which means, again, more home improvement in your future. I guess home repair. Alright, now you see that little twig there, that piece of wood. I've learned, as great as the dust vac is, that will actually clog either the line, this hose, or the dust vac itself. So anything like that, paper, plastic, anything that would get caught up in that, just need to get rid of. Right, just got a good shock. Static, not like I found a rat. So let's set up the next shot here, and you'll see how I attempt to get over there in the corner. I have this scrap piece of wood with a Northern Tool 98-cent hook on it, a couple of screws. Works great for putting insulation in, but also reaching way down there to get stuff loose, because this loose fill is packed down so much. It's a little bit hard to suck up sometimes. All right, on with the show. Alright, so I've made some good progress. I've done all the way up to this one, which is all the way up to that one over there. Maybe see a little bit better. This here is going to cause me some issues. We'll get to that later. And straight runs like this, where I've got really nothing to move and lots of height to stand, they go really quick. From here to here, it's roughly one bag, one trash bag. So 1, 2, 3, 4 more bags, and you know, another 2 or 3 over there, 2 or 3 over there, and I'm done to the fireplace. Everything on the other side of the fireplace is a garage, which well, it'll need some extra attention, I think. We'll get down there when we get down there, but for now, just keep on trucking. And I guess I should say, over the garage there's no loose fill. It's fiberglass bats, but with the facing up, which is actually the opposite of what it should be. The facing should be towards the living area. Now granted, the garage is not a living area, and granted it started out as a carport, but as a carport it was never insulated. That is all new, and again, just installed upside down. Anyway, I've got to by hand go in and take all those out, bag them up in trash bags, get rid of them. But believe it or not, those fiberglass bats are worse than this loose fill. This loose fill is time consuming and takes 2 people. Fiberglass bagging it, super messy, but only takes 1 person. So anyway, making good progress. One thing I don't think I mentioned, when your partner downstairs starts, it's best to get over here in the eaves to start a bag. So they put a new bag on downstairs, they start the vacuum up again. You want to start over there first, because if they turn it off when you're over there, it's just a pain in the butt. So it's much easier to start over there and then fill up the rest of the bag over here where it's easy. So when they stop, it's no big deal. Versus if you go the other way and you start here and you finish the bag over there, it's just a pain in the butt. Anyway, back to work. Alright, so there's a few things I didn't really include in the video. First of all, the spray foam insulation I first started with just regular, minimally expanding spray foam that's for windows and doors. Ideally, you want to use a fire block spray foam, and definitely wear latex gloves, rubber gloves, vinyl gloves that you can just throw away. Don't use your regular work gloves. Speaking of work gloves, I use 2 different pair, one to remove insulation and one to install insulation, both of which I labeled specifically for insulation so that I didn't use them for something else and end up with fiberglass or something else all over me. The attic vent, I'll go down and show you in just a second. The new insulation we put down R30 everywhere. Faced bats. They were 4-foot sections, and one layer of that everywhere. The second layer, mostly in the eaves where we don't have this platform to walk on and store stuff on, is also R30 fiberglass, unfaced, and it's 25-foot rolls. And that installed very quickly. In the eaves it took some extra effort to get it over there. So I'll give you a quick tour and show you that kitchen vent and the fireplace down at the end. So over here we have the 2 bathroom exhaust fans, and then the stack vent for the 2 bathrooms for the plumbing, sink, drains, etc. That's all new. We did that within the last year or 2. And then you get a good shot here of one layer inside the joist. Sorry, let's try that again. You get a good shot here, one layer inside the joist, and then 90 degrees to that is a second layer. So over in the eaves, if you can see, we have 2 layers, which gives us R60. Same thing over here. Much better. Now, this pain in the butt here is actually the microwave exhaust vent. This is just a zip tie with some screen door material, just to keep any critters from going in. And I had a nightmare there to fix up with drywall. Now, over here, might be kind of hard to see, but we've got fiberglass, and then we've got Roxul, or mineral wool, or rock wool, whatever you want to call it, around the fireplace, abutting the fireplace. And then around the other corner where there's just a small gap, I used the Fireblock spray foam. And that was based on a recommendation I'd read that rock wool, or Roxul, will have a higher ignition point than fiberglass. And that's pretty much it. It's done for the most part. Still need to do the decking. I think we're going to run here. Let me get to the other end. I think over here we're going to have our storage, so we'll have decking over here, and then over here we're going to run a single platform down the middle, and then double insulator, do 2 layers, a second layer of the R30 to give us the R60 on both sides. What else? I put in there, it's roughly 4 foot high, roughly 55 feet long, and this between the knee wall section is maybe 15 feet or so. And that's it. So that's it for how to remove loose insulation from your attic. A lot of other videos out there, most of them very short. I hope this one was longer and more in depth and gave you the detail that you needed. Feel free to look at any of my other videos. Wide variety to choose from. I don't do a lot of home improvement videos, so comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And in the meantime, I gotta go work on a porch. So we'll see you next time.